the loss of a precious possession, the sudden end to a season in a life that saw mostly sunshine in the form of people, places, events, and things, the twilight to one's life, the inexplicable death of a dream, an ambition, a desire, a goal, a person, or the silence in that moment when one walks into the house and things just aren't the same. The environment seems to lack the voice and laughter of the one that used to fill its places, or that filled the heart of a partner, of a friend, of a family. It's that moment when all life on the outside goes on as usual, but on the inside, death has somehow sapped the strength to even speak. It's like the louder we'd like to raise our voices to get our questions heard and answered, silence is all that is heard, and it's deafening. Moments before he died, Jesus, just like us, cried out, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" There were no answers heard. But soon after, the earth quaked. Rocks split in two. The day went dark from 12 noon till 3 p.m. All this, just to name a few, upon the ground on which the cross and witnesses stood. Heaven grieved in a way that was both seen and heard. And to this day, these events haven't happened simultaneously in that part of the world, the effects of which would only perhaps be noticeably felt the day after. Today is Black Saturday, symbolizing the day after the death of Jesus. All the screaming voices have quieted down. This day, the day after he died, it's almost certain that the events of those days, the tension that built up to that week, those months, from the day that Jesus started his mission 3 years before, left some either deeply hurt, perplexed in anguish, rotting in guilt, and maybe even paralyzed in regret. And some, though totally convinced that what they did was of no wrongdoing, now struggled and were confused with that bothersome thought that maybe, just maybe, the crucifying of Jesus wasn't right after all. Friend, what is your day after? What defines your Black Saturday? Do you feel you play a role in what may have caused the loss or death of something or someone in your life today? Was there something you could have done or something you failed to do that could have changed the outcome? For many, depending on the scale of tragedy and deep connection to those crushing blows, it may seem even darker than that first Black Saturday. For most, a Black Saturday isn't defined by just a day as we know it, but rather a season, a semester, a chapter in one's life where no beacon shines bright enough to shed any light on the paths our minds need to take and our hearts need to settle in. It's that period that may last a day, a week, or months, or even years. My friend, there is a much bigger picture to all this. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Just like he was then when he was raised up and nailed to that cross, he prayed, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." That's what Christ did, definitively. Suffered because of others' sins, the righteous one for the unrighteous ones. He went through it all. Was put to death and then made alive to bring us to God. He hung on that cross with you on his mind, with you in his heart. He did it with the hope that someday, one day, when death does come, as we know it will to all with no exceptions, when we open our eyes, it will be him that we see. He died because he did and still does and always will love his most precious of all creations, his children, us. Tomorrow is another day, and history tells us that 3 days after Jesus died, like the sun that rose this morning at dawn, Jesus did too. Today, he lives. No matter how immeasurably dark or deep your day after may be, what follows every Black Saturday is always Easter Sunday. Jesus never intended to keep you locked up in that feeling of hopelessness, that feeling as though you're as good as dead, that feeling of guilt, shame, and condemnation. He knows the plans He has for you. He said it Himself. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. You qualify to experience a rise in your soul. But unlike Black Saturdays, which come and go as a part of life, this Easter, let Him resurrect your spirit and begin the journey of experiencing His way, His truth, and His life. Because of Him, you will get through your Black Saturday. And through Him, you will rise on your Sunday. And living in Him and Him in you, you'll get through your personal Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, no matter how they may turn out. And then Saturday. Oh, but fear not, because with Him, not all Saturdays need be black. Today, He lives.